Most, if not all of you, know who I am. I am Nicole. I am one of Jan's grandchildren. I had the privilege of growing up local to her and sometimes even with her. Just as each of you have a unique relationship with her, I've always felt incredibly blessed for my unique relationship with her. She wasn't my mother, but at times she was like a mother to me. And she was my grandmother, but she was also so much more than that. In my early 20s, I found myself a single mom, twin toddlers, and in a position that I was heavily relying on the support and physical assistance of my loved ones. Now, I was given an opportunity to take a job that could potentially get me out of that. There was only one major roadblock, and that was that the job was across town, and I had neither a license or car or the financial means to fix either of those. And as she had so many times before, Gigi showed up and she said, "I'll take you to work. We're going to make this happen." And thus began our morning commutes. 40 minutes of uninterrupted time to talk, and we seized it. We talked about everything. We talked about politics and religion and family trauma and emotional baggage and her childhood growing up. We had wonderful discussions, and she constantly surprised me. It was always very surprising. If we'd be talking and I'd say, "Oh, Grandma, actually that term is a little offensive. We don't use that anymore. We use this." She was 78 at the time, and I think most 78-year-olds are pretty set in their ways, but not her. She'd just say, "Oh, I didn't know that. Thank you for telling me that. I'll try to be conscious about it." Very adaptable. And what a great lesson that is. Be adaptable. Get through life and love life. Sometimes she surprised me in silly ways and shocking ways. I remember one morning we were listening to NPR and they were going over the New York Times bestsellers list. And they mentioned 50 Shades of Grey. Gigi very casually says to me, "Oh, I've been meaning to read that." And I thought, surely she misunderstood or I misunderstood. He said, "Well, Gigi, do you know what that's about, right?" And she smirked at me and she said, "Yes, I do." And then she erupted of laughter over how uncomfortable I was. And then we were in tears by the time we pulled up at work. And sometimes these discussions would evolve into debates. Sometimes we felt very, very differently on certain topics. And I know that she loved those debates just as much as I did because you can see the spark in her eyes. And I think a lot of you know what I'm talking about. When she was talking about something she was passionate about, there was a certain fire that you could feel coming from her that let me know that just as much as I felt like I was having a good time, she was too. And it didn't really matter. All of these differences that we had, by the time that we'd get to pulling up in front of my work, at the end of every discussion, it was a hug and a kiss. "I love you. Have a great day." I'd like to share a short memory that I think encapsulates the way that she cared for others. And I don't just mean the people directly in her life, but I mean caring for people at large. It was a typical dreary day. In the fall, she went through a fast food line, and as she pulled up the window, she noticed a young man in just a t-shirt, shivering, teeth clacking. She asked him, "Well, do they not let you wear jackets?" And he said, "No, they do. I just forgot mine at home today." So she paid for her food and she left. And she went directly home. She got into her hall closet. She found a jacket she thought would fit that young man. And she went right back. She provided him warmth and comfort on a dreary day. And I think a lot of us could say she's provided us warmth and comfort on a dreary day or in a dark time in our life. You probably noticed a theme in a lot of our things that we have here today. There's butterflies and silk flowers as well as light. Now, it is said that the first butterfly that visits you after you've lost a loved one is their spirit coming to let you know that they are okay. And I think Gigi's spirit is here today, letting us know that she is okay, but also letting us know that we will be okay. Now, when we were preparing the artificial flowers for my wedding, I was probably grumbling about not being able to have fresh flowers because Gigi was allergic to just about all of them. And she said, "Nicole, I want you to look at it this way. You're going to be able to keep these flowers forever. You'll be able to reuse them. And every time you look at them, it will remind you that you made a forever commitment to your husband. She was right. Some of those flowers are here with us today, just as her love is here with us today and forever. And when we say that her birth date was the sunrise, it is because she was the brightest spirit I've ever had the privilege of knowing. And when she left this earthly existence, I felt my world go dark. And the more that I've thought about it, I realized she left some of that light with all of us. She gave some of her light to each and every one of us. And it's so important that we be that light for each other, especially during times like now. Unfortunately, I've had experience in planning a funeral before. And I remember the hardest part in trying to prepare for my mother's service was that I was looking for photos and memories, and I felt like an archaeologist where I had to dig and dig and dig to find a fragment of a memory. And the stark contrast as I prepared for today, and as I'm going through decades and decades of memories and photos, so she was always there. She always showed up. And I don't just mean for the birthdays, and I don't just mean for Christmas and the fun times and the weddings. She showed up for court dates. She showed up for losses of pregnancy. She showed up for funerals. She didn't matter, good or bad. She showed up. And I hope that what her legacy brings us is that we show up for one another, for whoever you care about. Doesn't matter if you know the right words to say, or the right thing to do. At the end of our lives, that's what really matters, huh? So we show up for one another. And I'm going to end this in kind of a strange way. It's actually a Facebook memory that popped up on Thursday. It was 5 years ago, last Thursday. I was having a hard time at that point emotionally, and I was uncertain of the future. And she sent me this text message, and it says, "Take a deep breath. Fear is our worst enemy. Evil and fear go hand in hand. Trust and goodness in its power in the world. You are a wonderful example of that. Love conquers all." And I've been living my entire life in fear of this point, where I would have to face the rest of my existence without her here physically with me. And she's already given me the answer. And the answer is love. Love is like a magic penny. Hold on tight and you won't have any. Lend it, spend it, and you'll have so much more. They'll roll all over the floor. Thank you.